All right. Hello. Hi, everyone. We've got a great group here with us today. Again, my name is Bethany. I'm an educator with Singer Sewing, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this adorable Quilt-As-You-Go needle book. Now, if you're not familiar with what a needle book is, to me, this is an accessory that I think every sewist needs in their sewing room. So this is a fun, quick project, and it's a great project to like bust out some scrap fabric that you have. But a needle book, I'll hold it up a little closer. It's a little book that we're going to make, and it's got some pockets in here. You hear that? I don't know if you can hear the rattle noise, but I've got some needles, a whole pack of needles stored right here. But what's really cool about a needle book is these felt pages. These are felt, so you can easily put your needles into these felt pages. And then, felt is very forgiving. So when you take a needle out, you can kind of just rub it and you won't even see that there was a hole there. But what's great about a needle book is, let's say I'm making a project today, and this is a brand new needle in my machine. But when I get done with my project, the next project I'm going to make, I need a different type of needle. Maybe I need a denim needle or a quilting needle or whatever. And so this needle's still good, but I don't want to just stick it back in with all my new needles. I can stick it into my needle book. And you could mark on here what it is. You could put a little piece of tape. I like to use washi tape that you can write on because it's very light stick. And I could put on there, the needle type, or even the last time I used it, like the date, if you want to get really specific, because remember, we're supposed to change our needles every 6 to 8 hours of sewing. So that way you can keep up with your needles, but if it's still a good needle, we don't have to toss it or lose it or put it in an unsafe place. And so this is our little needle book that we're going to make today. And then in the back, there is another pocket, and I have more needles there. This also makes taking your supplies on the go when you're traveling and sewing really easy, and a safe place to keep all of your needles. So you're always prepared in case you accidentally break one or something. You always have your needles with you, and it's just cute. It's just super cute. And as sewists, we like to make cute things. All right, so we're going to dive into this project. There are a few steps. You should have received, when you signed up for the class, the full written tutorial for this project. I have it here. Okay, so if you didn't print it out, that's fine. You have it saved. You can follow along. Again, as she mentioned at the beginning, this is a recorded class. So if you're just watching for now, you want to make it later, you can always watch the replay. The replay of this class will be available on Michael's YouTube channel 24 to 48 hours after today's class. So go check back there tomorrow afternoon and get your tutorial, and you can sew along right with us once you have your supplies gathered. All right, so for the sake of time, because we only have so much time together, I wish we could spend all afternoon together. I have prepped a little bit of the project, some of the steps, so that we're not wasting time of the repetitive things or the simple things. So again, if you need to reference the instructions, be sure you have those. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to my other camera real quick, because this is a Quilt-As-You-Go needle book. And what that means is we are going to use what's called Fusible Fleece. So I've already gotten it started because it's a repetitive step here. And we've done Quilt-As-You-Go projects here on Michael's Zooms before. So I kind of wanted to get ahead a little bit, but we are using this Fusible Fleece. And so this is kind of acting as our batting. So it's soft on this side, and it's got like a little bit of a rougher texture on this side, and this is that adhesive. So as I sew my pieces down and I flip them over and I press them, they stay fused. So this one is sewn right here, and then I fold it over and I pressed it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, when you start this, you're going to use your strips, okay? And I have 1.5 inch strips to account for some seam allowance in that, but you can use whatever size strips you want, and they can mix and match. They don't all have to be the same. My OCD really likes the uniformity of this process, so I cut mine all the same width. And then I started my first one right side up. I laid it down along the edge here, and I just pressed it because it's fusible on this side. And then I took my next one and I laid it on top, right sides together, sewed it, flipped it over, pressed it. And that's the process that we're going to go through. I have 2 more strips that I need to attach. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this process real quick. So this is my next strip. Okay, you don't have to do a specific order. I, again, like a certain pattern, but that's just me. So again, this is the fun part of Quilt-As-You-Go, because you can really be creative with it. You can have fun with it. You can use your scrap fabric. This is a great scrap buster project. So I'm going to put this one right sides together of my previous strip. Now, if you want to put a couple pins here, you can. We're not sewing very far, and for sake of time, I am going to not pin it, but before I sew this down, I am going to move my camera, and I didn't want you to have to be the one to see it moving because I didn't want to make you woozy. Okay, there you go. All right, so here I am on the sewing machine. I am going to scoot you back just a hair so you can see what I'm sewing on today. So this is the Singer SC220 sewing machine. It is a computerized machine, and that's what I'll be using to do all of our stitching out today. So we'll definitely drop a link to this machine in the chat. It is available over on Michael's website and Michael's stores. All right, so I have my 1/4-inch piecing foot right here. Okay, so I am going to switch to this, and I'm going to pop my all-purpose foot off for just a minute. Now with this foot, you see how there's just the single hole right here in the middle? So we want to make sure that we're using a straight stitch and that it's in the center needle position. Otherwise, our needle's going to hit this metal foot and break our needle, and we really don't want to do that. Okay. So as I mentioned, I've got my fabric in place. Like so. Now I am doing like 1 or 2 stitches right off the edge of this fusible fleece. And I am not back stitching because we are going to trim this down. And with a 1/4-inch foot, I am lining the edge of this fabric up with the edge of my foot right here. That is how I know that I have a 1/4-inch seam allowance. Again, I'm not back stitching. I'm just going to come in and trim my threads. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to fold this open and do a quick little press. I do have a little press off to the side, so let me just do that real quick. It takes 2 seconds. There we go. So now it is pressed down to my fusible fleece, and I can take my next piece and turn it over, line it up, and start sewing. So these projects can go relatively quickly with the Quilt-As-You-Go process. I have used this Quilt-As-You-Go process for many different types of projects. I've made some Easter egg shaped placemats before with this same method, and those turned out really cute. I've made other like table toppers and little baskets and stuff as well. So this is also a great process to use for when you're doing bags. If you want to make like a zipper pouch or a zipper bag that's quilted, this is a great method to use as well. All right, so I need one more piece. So let me grab one more piece. I thought that 2 was going to finish it off, but I was mistaken. All right, what's my next color? It's this one. There we go. I always have extra pieces just in case. I'll stick one more on here. You get to see the process one more time. You do want to make sure your strips are long enough to hang off both ends or both sides of the, well, let me grab my thread here. It's really short. And I just don't want it to come out of my needle. There we go. Like a little bit longer of a thread tail. All right. Oh, I can't remember what I was just saying. I got distracted. That's okay. We're going to go down one more side. Now, if you've ever done the Quilt-As-You-Go process, let us know in the chat, or if this is your first time seeing this method, we'd love to know that as well. Now, for making this little booklet, I mean, you do not have to make it a quilted booklet. You could just do a regular piece of fabric and not quilted. That's totally fine too. But we always like to teach you new things, and so that's why I added this little process, and it just dresses it up and makes it really fun. I'm looking over here at the chat while I'm pressing this down, and it looks like we've got a lot of first timers with the Quilt-As-You-Go. So welcome to this fun process. This is probably one of my favorite ways to get that quilted look. And I'm going to show this to you here. So this is our whole panel. Okay, it's looking a little scrappy, and that's okay, because we want to make sure we cover all of the fleece here. And now what we're going to do is trim this down. So according to the instructions that I gave to you all, I'm going to adjust this. We want to trim this down to 10.5 to 6.5 to end up with something that's going to be this size. And I have, go ahead.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
what is the size that you made your fusible fleece? I know you made your strips 1.5 inch, but what size was the fusible fleece?
I'm going to reference the instructions just to make sure I say the right amount or the right number. They're 8 inches long. So what I do is my fusible fleece was 11.5 by 7.5. So I cut my fusible fleece bigger than what my actual size I need to put this together, so that I can make sure I have it completely covered. And so you want your strips to be a little longer than the height of your fusible fleece. So again, I didn't specifically measure. I just wanted to make sure that they were more than 8 inches to give me some wiggle room. Some of them, as you can see, when I was cutting my strips, some of them were longer, some of them, but they all completely go from top to bottom and have overhang. Okay. And now that we have this all done, we're going to cut our pattern piece essentially out that we need from this. So our pattern piece is actually smaller than this. And I'm going to flip over to this camera here. Move some of my other stuff out of the way. And I have a ruler. So what we need to do, this is going to be hard to use on a small space, but I'm going to try to make it work as best I can. I'm gonna have to move this machine, so give me just 1 second. I had a smaller ruler that was too small for the measurements I need, and then I have this bigger ruler, so we're just gonna go with the bigger one. And I like to square it up. So I know that my fusible fleece is square, so I'm just lining it up here, and I need it to be 10.5 by 6.5. So 10.5 this way by 6.5. This ruler is 6.5. So I just need to trim this off, and then I can cut this down to 10.5 here. So I use my little rotary cutter. Okay. And while I'm here in this position, I'm going to clean up this edge and that edge. I think I got through all of that there. Coming at it from a weird angle, so bear with me. There we go. All right. Throw my scraps in my little scrap bin. Okay, so I have all of that. So now I've got my 6.5 here. I need 10.5 here. And I'm going to slide this to 10.5. And I can take that off this end. If you really want to make sure that this is like from the front side even with your panels, you can take a little off this edge, a little off this edge. But for today's class purposes, I actually am going to flip it around and go this way. Because I know I cleaned up this squared edge. So there we go. And then I can and that down right there. Okay, so now what I'm left with is a really pretty quilted as you go. See how this piece is really thin and this one's a little wider. If you wanted to turn it over and really even that out, you absolutely could. But for time's sake, we're just going to go with this. That looks nice. And it's all quilted and we're ready to move on to the next step. And that is our pocket. Okay, so for the pocket piece, it's a bigger piece and you fold it over. You fold it in half, wrong sides together, which I've already done. Okay, and you're going to top stitch all the way across here. You can get as close or as far as you want. It's totally up to you. But I use that same 1/4 inch foot and I just did a 1/4 inch top stitch all the way across here. Okay, so my fabric is directional. So I do want to make sure that I am going to make sure that the directional side of these cute little mermaids are facing up. So what I'm going to do next is take my lining piece. Okay, so this is my inside lining. So just to kind of explain, sometimes it helps to see the finish to know what all the pieces are. All right, so we just did this quilted piece. That's this piece right here. This inside lining piece is this. So when you're planning out your project and you're color coordinating or whatever, I kind of went with this fun little print for being my inside lining. And then for my pocket, this pocket piece right here, I'm going to use these little mermaids. Okay. And I want to line my pocket right side up to this bottom section, this bottom part of my inside lining piece. Okay, it's okay if it hangs over just a little bit. And we're going to clip this down. And the other thing we're going to go ahead and do while we're at this point is take our elastic. Now the elastic is used for keeping the book closed because we're going to hand sew on a cute little shank button when we're done. And this elastic helps keep that closed. Okay, so in the instructions, it says how long the elastic needs to be. It's not very long. I can look real quick just to tell you. 4 inches. If you don't want to use elastic, you could use ribbon. You could use a piece of ribbon that comes up and twists around. You could use a piece of leather strip or something. I mean, you can kind of get creative. There's some other ways that you can close these little booklets too. You could put a little snap here and let it snap shut. You could use Velcro. I just think the little button and loop adds a fun little effect. Okay, so we have our elastic that we're going to add. Now, I put in the instructions which side the elastic needs to go on. So we're going to make sure we get that right. But when I fold the elastic, I'm going to fold it so it creates this loop. Okay, and I'm going to place this on the left side. Actually, left side or right side? Right side. Yes, right side. And I want to find like the center here. So you can fold this over and kind of do like a little finger press. That's my center. So that's where I want my elastic to go. So fold it over, and then I want that, see how it curls? I kind of want that going up. So when it closes over. So there's my center. I'm just lining that up. And I like to use clips when I'm clipping multiple things, especially things like elastic into place. You can use a pin, it's up to you. So I'm going to hold that there. We're going to clip these other edges down on both sides. So the pocket is clipped to our lining and our elastic needs to go towards the inside. And when we turn it, it'll go towards the outside. So what I mean by that is we're going to take this beautifully quilted piece that we already did, And we are going to put these right sides together, just like this, okay? And now we're going to take a few more clips. And we're going to clip this down all the way around. And we're going to sew these together and then turn it right side out. So we're not going to sew it completely shut. This side is got the side with the elastic. So you want to make sure that that, you guys see that, is kind of tucked in there. So we're not sewing over the loop. We just want to sew over that end of the elastic. And I have the elastic sticking out a little bit. It helps me know like that's where it is. I want to make sure it's getting stitched into the seam. All right, so as we sew around, we're gonna start and go all the way around and come back. We do want to leave an opening. And while I can sit here and tell you that I'll remember to stop, sometimes I just get to sewing and I don't remember to stop. So I like to mark like a 3-inch opening so I don't accidentally sew it shut and then I can't turn it right side out. So I have an opening here and it's a visual to remind me when I need to stop sewing. All right, so here. And now I'm gonna not make you seasick and switch this camera around. Doing a lot of camera moving today, which is fine. Get you nice and close so you can see. All right. All right, so I am going to go ahead and take off my 1/4 inch foot. And I'm going to slide this all-purpose foot back on that came with the machine. And we're going to continue with a straight stitch. We're going to start at this mark. We're going to end at this mark to leave an opening. And I'm going to do a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So basically with a single, with your needle in the center position, from there over to the edge of this foot is 3/8 inch. So that's an easy way to know that I'm sewing that. But when in doubt, measure it. But this time slinging clips over here. We're going to do a couple of back stitches. So we want to make sure that those that doesn't pull open at that opening. I do love that this machine has a needle down button. So nice. I'm going to drop my needle, lift my foot, and gently turn to pivot that corner to get a nice square corner. And then we're going to keep sewing down this edge. There we go.
Bethany, as you're sewing, someone is asking what needle are you using right now?
I'm using a universal needle, and I'm pretty sure it's an 80-12. Because I'm not doing like a lot of quilting on this project, I didn't use a quilting needle. Because Quilt-As-You-Go, it's kind of hidden in the seam. If I was doing quilting on this that was visible, meaning if I was going to actually do further quilting stitches, I would probably switch to a quilting needle, and maybe even a walking foot to make sure it's stitching smoothly across this thicker fabric. But for this, since all of my stitches are hidden in the seam allowance, I decided to just use a universal needle for the whole project.
Once you get to the finished size, it'll come up, but what is your finished size of your booklet?
That is a great question. Let me lay it out here and measure real quick for you. Okay, It is 6 inches tall and 10 inches wide when it's fully open. Okay, so I'm down this other side and this is where my elastic is. So we definitely want to make sure that that is staying in place. Go nice and slow. We catch the elastic. Keep sewing. All right, final stretch. I have my mark, knowing when to stop so I don't forget. I'm going to do a couple back stitches. And trim my threads. All right. So this is what we are left with. Let me hold this up just 1 second. Not very exciting right now, but we are going to trim down our seam allowance and our corners and then turn it right side out. So let me, again, I just don't want to make you guys seasick today. All right, so here is our finished after we've sewn these together, and we're going to trim this down. So this is where our fabric scissors come in handy. We definitely want to trim our corners. We do not want to clip into our stitches or else they're gonna come open and we don't want that. But I am going to cut down some of this bulk so my corners are nice and clean. I also am going to take this seam allowance down a little bit. Where a good pair of fabric scissors comes in handy. There we go. Now you can trim down the top as well, but I want to have enough to be able to fold these in. And so I'm going to leave the top part because it's really not too bad. And we're just going to turn this right side out. Or as some people like to call it, birthing the bag or birthing the project, which I think is a funny thing to say. But we're just going to turn it right side out through that opening. There's our elastic, yay! All right, we've got our pocket. Take some finagling. So this is kind of what it's looking like. We're going to use a corner tool. You can use another tool if you like, but this is my favorite. And I like to run it along the side seams and then really use it to get the corners pushed out well. And since we trimmed that bulk down, we get a nice square here. There's our elastic. All right, let's keep going. Sometimes you have to really kind of tell it who's boss and get that corner pushed out. Go to the other side. Got a cute little pocket, and our mermaids are going the right direction. Yay. Definitely need to keep that in mind if you decide to use directional fabric, which way you're placing your pocket, which way you're placing your strips as you do your little Quilt-As-You-Go panel for the outside. There we go. And this is where, because it's kind of bulky on one side, I like to really run the point down the seam. Just to say, like, this is where the seam is. Okay, so this is looking really nice. And I'm going to just do a quick little press. Do we have any questions? This is coming together quickly.
We have a couple questions.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Nancy was asking, for when you sewed it together because you trimmed, why you did not use a 1/4 inch seam since you
Right.
were going to trim it down?
That's a great question, Nancy. Actually, when you're sewing this many layers together and they're kind of bulky, sometimes your fabric will kind of shift on you. So it's better to have a little bit extra seam allowance. And then you can, that way, if your fabric shifts on you or anything like that, you can trim off that excess and you're not going to be cutting it too close and your fabric's not going to shift out and, and you're not able to sew that down in that part. So that's kind of my rule of thumb when I'm sewing multiple layers together. Give myself a little extra seam allowance and then you can always trim it off. So I don't know if you noticed that when I was sewing it around, but my fabric did this thinner layer, the lining that doesn't have a batting, did kind of want to shift a little bit when sewing over this, and that happens. And so because of that, I was able to make adjustments and then trim it down when I was done. So I did a little quick press. It's looking so cute. I love this fabric. By the way, these fabrics are pre-cut fabrics, fabric packs that are Singer fabric packs, but they are available at Michael's. And when I was saying directional fabric, these little rainbows, I made sure that they were going the right way. I didn't want upside down rainbows on my thing. So same with my mermaids, they're all going right way. So now that I've given it a little press and we have a good idea of the shape of our project, we have this opening here.
And Bethany, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
one more question. Just
yeah,
would
yeah.
you show the corner turner again and
You
just
do not
explain
have
it
one
a
of
little
these.
bit? Yeah.
They're amazing. They come in a couple different shapes. This one's my personal favorite because it's got a little bit of a longer handle. And it's kind of a dual purpose tool for me. So this is the side that I will run along the seam, push out my corners. It's not too sharp that it will get you a square corner, but it's not too sharp. So just be careful to not poke through your corner. And then this side, let me show you. Let me just flip back over here. So let's say I wanted to do further quilting on this. You can, maybe I wanted to do some diagonal quilting. You can, here's my little ruler. You could put your ruler on here and use this end as a marking tool to put a little crease in your fabric to mark where your stitch lines are going to be for your quilting. So I could do one there and then I could come over and do another one here and mark it that way. And so this way I'm not actually having to use a pen or a washable marker, fabric marker to mark on my quilted fabric. I can just use these little indentions and use that as my guide. So I love that feature, especially for a quilter. But then this end is what I use to really get in there and get those corners out really well. So these are pretty inexpensive. And if you don't have one of these, this will be one of your new best friends in your sewing room. They come in handy for so many things. If you need to do like a really good seam press, you could use that. So again, multi-purpose tool for sure. That was a great question. I'm glad that you asked. This is how we learn about all these fun little tools that we have. And I'm pretty sure Amy has linked it in our chat. So if you want to go get one from Michael's, you can. Now we have our opening here and you can see the fabric kind of naturally already wants to fold in, but we're going to fold. It's kind of hard to do holding it up. So I'm going to fold it in. We're going to fold that in. And I like to, again, because it's thick material that we're sewing shut, I'm going to clip it. Okay. If you want to press this first to get a nice crisp edge, you can. I'm going to probably press it after. And what we're going to do next is top stitch. I like to top stitch all the way around. If you didn't want to top stitch, you could just hand sew this shut. But when personally for me, if I can avoid hand sewing as much as possible, I will. So I'm going to take this over to the machine and we're going to do a top stitch all the way around. Okay. So let me adjust my camera again. And switch it over. Yes, you could actually use that tool for paper crafting too. That's another great, I'm telling you, it has so many uses. I've probably used it for so many different things in my sewing room that I'm not even thinking of right now. But I have probably 4 or 5 of these I have one that stays in my studio in here. I have one that stays by my ironing board. I have one that stays between my sewing machines in my sewing room. And I think I have one in my like to-go bag when I sew on the go. So I have quite a few. So I'm going to do a quick top stitch around this, and I'm going to leave this foot on. And I'm going to move my needle over. So this is where you want to change your stitch width on a straight stitch. That is what's going to change our needle position. Do you see that moving over? So that's as far over as it will go. That works for me. And I can see that my thread is barely in there. So I'm going to give myself a little tail. And so I've got my fabric lined up with the edge of my foot. The reason why I'm choosing to use this foot is because, again, this is thicker. The wider the foot, more stability under the foot while sewing. So that's why I'm using this one. And we're gonna do a couple of back stitches. So all the way around. I personally think that the top stitching gives it a really nice, like, finished look. I'm removing my clips as I get to this opening to make sure that my seam allowance is getting enclosed in there. Needle down button, love that. And we're going to pivot and keep going. Oh, got a little too close to the corner there. There we go. Now, when you're approaching the pocket, we don't want it to get caught and fold this way. So I am going to make sure that it stays down. There's our elastic going by. Almost there.
Amy just said the machine is so quiet. It is quiet, but it's a little bit with your microphone too, isn't it?
It is. I have a microphone that kind of gets rid of background noise, you know, in case the dog barks or the mailman swings by or someone rings the doorbell. And so because of that, it does kind of drown out the sound of the sewing machine. I forget sometimes that it does that, and then I just sit here in silence, and y'all are also in silence, so my apologies. All right, so we're done here. I'm just going to trim my threads, and then I'll show you. I sewed over my tail. There we go. There we go. Show you what it looks like. I'm going to switch to this camera. There we go, because this needs to be seen in full. Look how nice that looks. That top stitching looks so clean and easy and beautiful, and it's just a nice little finishing touch. I will say this machine is actually pretty quiet on its own, it's nice. All right, so next we need pages to our book. So let's add some pages. And this is kind of like the last step of the project. So we're almost done. I hope we're doing well on time. It looks like we are. Okay. It's a little crooked. There we go. So you can put in as many pages as you want, but just remember that what you cut out for your felt or your fleece, this is fleece, sorry. You could use felt. Or is it felt? It is felt. I'm getting my fabrics mixed up. It is felt. They're 5 1/4 inch by 8 inch. You can change the sizes if you want, but I feel like these fit within that stitch line. Like we did top stitching, I didn't want it to go all the way to the edge personally, but you can if you want. It's up to you. And so we have 2 of them here because when you sew them down and fold them over, you actually have 4 pages. See, that's what we're going to end up with. So we are going to kind of find our center. And I am going to find a couple of pins here. Here we go. Mark our centers. Just make sure that that's the great thing about felt is it kind of sticks to each other, these pages. So it makes it easy to work with both of them at the same time. Yeah, that's pretty center. They do also pick up all the fuzzies and the strings. All right, so there's my center of my pages. Here's my book. And right now it's just one big pocket, but when we sew these pages down the middle, we're going to have a pocket at the front and the back. And so now we need to find the center of our book. And again, I'm going to use a pin. And for this, because it's thicker, I can just kind of stick it straight down in there. All right. So I've got, well, that just didn't even stick into my fabric. Let's try that again. All right, I know it did that time. I could feel it. All right, so I have my little book. I'm going to take my pages and I'm going to line up my pins, my center pins.
Hey, Bethany,
Yes.
can you just scoot that book down just a little bit?
Oh,
Top
I'm
out.
so sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I have this whole workspace, but you guys can only see this much. I'm sorry. So I've lined up my pins with my pins. And now I know that this is where my pages need to go. But since I am going to sew down the center mark, I am going to just kind of flip them off to the sides. And because we talked about it earlier, I'm going to use my ruler. So these pins here are marking the center. I'm going to use this little tool to crease my page. Look at there. Can you see that crease? Now I have a line to stitch down to make sure pages aren't going to be crooked. And now we're just going to stitch all the way down and back stitch at the beginning and the end. And we'll be good to go with our little book. We just have to add our button. So there we go. All right. Final stitch. You ready? I am going to put my needle back into the center needle position. There we go. Now, because this is kind of bulky right here, sometimes it's best to start a little further in, and then we can backstitch and then come back into it. There we go. It is thick. If you need to lengthen your stitch here, you absolutely can. So you could do 3.5 millimeters. Mine is set to 3 right now. We're going to backstitch. Want to make sure you get to the very edge, and then our pages are done. Just have to trim threads. And let me just move this back over for you guys. See. All right. So we have our little pages. They're so cute. Trim our tails, clean it up. And what's great is this little stitch that we did kind of creates that fold in the book. Okay. And so now we have our pages. Super cute. We have our pocket here. We have our pocket here. It closes off that pocket. And all we have left to do is add a button. So my little trick for this is I see where my elastic is. This one's kind of long, so I can bring it kind of further over. And I think okay, you're going to have to help me decide. Do I do a pink flower or this cute little teal flower? I think they both match. Can you see that? Comment and let me know which flower I should use for my button, the pink or the teal. Everybody's saying pink. I think we got one teal so far.
One teal. I think
I think pink
a lot of
wins.
people are, yeah.
The pink does contrast on the teal background, so I think you are right there. And so I chose this fun little yellow one for this one. You are going to want to use, or it's recommended to use, a shank button, but if you don't have one, you can use a regular button and just give it some extra spacing underneath when you are stitching it down. But for the shank button, we can mark where we want that to go. And again, this is going to depend on the size of your button. I'm going to kind of say there. And since it's going to be hidden, where is my little pen? There it is. I have my pen. I'm just going to kind of mark that spot. Maybe hard to see on camera, but I can see it. And I am going to put a pin through there. Because I want to see where it is. Now, this is the hand sewing part. It's inevitable for this shank button. I have a little needle and thread. What I do like about this though is, but it's the back side of this button is going to be hidden inside of this pocket. So my pin here, you can see, is going to tell me where, hoping you guys can see this. I'm trying to be conscious of it. Where my needle needs to go through. All right, so I can pull the pin out because I got my needle through, and I can hand sew on my adorable pink button. Thank you for helping me pick out which button I needed to use. I was indecisive. Sometimes you need a sewing friend to help you out there. And we're just gonna hand sew this on. It's a little tricky with the pocket, but it's worth it because it will hide the back side of the button and you won't even see it. So yeah, once we get that sewn on, I'm not gonna sit here and do that on camera because that's not super exciting. Then this will close and we'll have our completed little booklet. How fun is that? There we go. We made a whole needle book just like this. In just a few minutes with some scrappy fabrics. You have extra pockets for your needles. You have a place to put your needles while they're still good to be used. Just a friendly reminder, you should change your needle every 6 to 8 hours of sewing to make sure that it is in good working condition so you have the prettiest stitches. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, this is a replay, so you can watch the replay and use the instructions that are provided. To be able to sew along and make yourself one. If you do make yourself one, be sure to use the hashtag #SingerSewing and hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels when you share it on social media, because we would love to see your finished needle book. And be sure you share this project with a sewing friend, because every sewist needs a little needle book and they need some extra little needles to go in their book. So these would actually make a really good gift for your sewing bestie. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. You can see the replay over on Michael's YouTube channel. It'll be posted within 24 to 48 hours. So if you go to YouTube tomorrow afternoon to Michael's, search for Michael's Stores, and you'll see it there. Okay. I'm so glad you had a great time and you learned about quilting, a little quilt-as-you-go action. That was super fun, and it's a great way to dress up a project. And I will see you next week. Actually, who is teaching next week, Amy and Sonny? Is it Amanda?
It is Amanda.
It is Amanda.
Amanda's going to be working with different sorts of, I think it is like working on jeans, right? Doing
Yes.
different,
I think is it zipper?
mending and things like that.
Mending and altering jeans.
There we go.
The link is in the chat. So you guys follow that link and sign up for next week's class.
Perfect. And she'll be using one of our heavy duty machines to show that as well. So just so you all know, we, in the past, we've been doing monthly sew-alongs with you all here. And for the first 3 months of the new year, we decided to go big and do one every single week. So every Thursday at noon Central Standard Time, you can join either myself, Sonny, Amanda, or Becky for a singer sewing class. We're going to be doing some demonstrations. I'm going to be doing some projects. Becky's going to be doing a quilting project. So I would definitely tune in for all of these because you're going to be learning something new every Thursday at noon. Same time, same place. Just have to go over to Michael's website to sign up for them so you can get the link to join. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you all are staying nice and warm wherever you are. And we'll be back next week. Happy sewing.